Welcome to another episode of Erik Wait Whiskey Studies, and in this series I've been sharing my trip to the UK, in which in July 2019 I spent 2 days in London, England, and 2 weeks traveling around Scotland visiting distilleries, meeting up with fellow whiskey tubers, and I spent 2 days at the Edinburgh Whiskey Academy. So in this video I'm going to share my visit to Benromach Distillery. Benromach, if you are familiar with Springbank, I would say Benromach is the Springbank of Speyside, in the sense of it is very, 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 very small. Very few people working there. It's not computerized, and everything's done by hand. It's really, in terms of a philosophy and a scale of production, very similar to Springbank, although of course the whiskeys themselves are very different. Benromach Distillery was founded in 1898 by Duncan McCallum and F.W. Brickman. It is located near Forres in Morayshire in Speyside. In 1993, the distillery was purchased by Gordon and MacPhail, and the design of the distillery was changed slightly to allow it to be operated by one man. In 1998, the distillery was officially reopened by Charles, Prince of Wales, and in 2004, bottling of the new malt started. Alright, so in this video I'm going to be doing a review of the Benromach Peat Smoke, as well as talk a little bit about other whiskeys that we sampled there. However, before I do so, here is my tour around the distillery. So at the distillery, they had an offering of 4 different samples of whiskeys, which if you're driving, you can take home as driver drams. They have the 10-year-old, which is bottled at 43% alcohol by volume. The 2011 organic, which is bottled at 43% alcohol by volume. The Sassicaia, which is bottled at 45% alcohol by volume. So Sassicaia is a wine cask. Sassicaia is from Tuscany, Italy, and they have 2 different bottlings of Sassicaia. One is a Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot blend, and the other one is a Cabernet Sauvignon Sangiovese blend. Sort of a very, very expensive high-end Italian wine. They go for about $150 here in the United States. They're typically known as a Super Tuscan. The Peat Smoke was distilled in 2008, bottled in 2017. The peat level is at 47 parts per million. It is aged in first fill bourbon cask, bottled at 46% alcohol by volume. This is a 750 milliliter, available in the United States, and retails for about $53 or so, if you can get your hands on it. Benromach is not a widely distributed whiskey here in the United States. If you search around for them, you can find them, but it's not like a lot of other whiskeys where you're just going to walk in and this can be sitting on the shelf necessarily, which also is another thing that has in common with a lot of Springbank whiskeys, is that super small production and oftentimes rather challenging to get your hands on, or they quickly get snapped up. All right, let's get into this one. Now, visually, really, really, really pale in color, sort of a pale golden straw on the nose. When I did a neck pour, it was a lot of ash and smoke, and there wasn't much else going on there. However, given a little bit of time and then a little bit of water or even on ice, it really opens up. So in addition to the smoke and peat, I get tropical notes, get a little bit of pineapple, yellow apple, a little bit of pear, Now, I don't know if it's coming from the peat or it's coming from the location because it's fairly close to the ocean. I do get a little bit of saltiness. In fact, the funny thing is when I first did a neck pour, I got something, it reminded me of, it sounds kind of funny, bowling alley shoes that you rent. Not the ones that you own, but the ones that you rent. If you ever go bowling, you have to rent shoes because you can't wear sneakers at a bowling alley. So you rent these old leather shoes, and because different people are wearing other people's shoes, that have been previously worn, they're constantly spraying with disinfectant. And that doesn't sound appealing to a lot of people. Why would you want to smell or drink that? But that's kind of what I was getting at first. It's old leather with a little bit of bowling alley disinfectant. Let's get back to the whiskey. I get some lemon and lime character to it as well. So tropical notes, lemon, lime, a little bit of salt, a little bit of peat. What I like about it is once it opens up, is that the smoke and peat do intertwine with all the other aromas. It isn't just a constant, smack in the face with peat, and then you have to push through that in order to get to any fruit notes. All right, on the palate. Wow. Well, the fruit's really coming through now. Texturally, it's silky, glides across the palate, has a fairly decent evolution. This is what I had just now is different than what I had in the last dram. So it's really opening up. A mouthful of pineapple, pear, apple, and then the smoke actually is much more subtle than it originally was, and it's really interwoven with everything else. Then you got a little bit of saltiness, and then a slightly sort of a milk chocolate character to it. Well, the fruit is really becoming more and more fresh on the palate now. I really, really like this. In fact, if I were to have scored it based on the last pour that I had, it would have been lower than what it is now. So I'm really, really liking this a lot more than I did before. I've watched a few other reviews of this on YouTube. Scott and Bart from Scotch Test Dummies, wearing one of their t-shirts, also reviewed this. Scott gave it an 89, and Bart gave it a solid 90. And I think I'm going to go with Bart on that. I'm going to give it a solid 90 points. Now, it sells for, if you can get your hands on it, in that $53 range. I think that gives it a really good quality price ratio. If you're looking at something that might be comparable in that range, you're looking at Ardbeg 10, the Ardbeg 10. I would say at this point where it's at now, it's not quite as intense as an Ardbeg 10. I think it's got fresher fruit than Ardbeg 10. But quality price-wise, I think it's about in the same ballpark, so I really, really like this video. Alrighty, that's it for this review. If you subscribe to this channel, I want to thank you very much. If you haven't yet subscribed, but you like watching my videos, I would greatly appreciate it if you would subscribe. Give this video a thumbs up, share with your friends on Facebook, Twitter, and other social networking channels. And until next time, cheers. Hey, if you like my review, be sure to check out these other whiskey videos.